name is John Robert Johnston. I was born on the 12th of July 1934 in Westminster Gardens, Barking. My father's name was George Arthur Johnson. My mother's maiden name was Ivy Jewett, spelt J-U-E-T-T. I had a very happy childhood until the start of the war. When I was about 2 years old, we moved from Westminster Gardens to Ripple Road, Barking. My father purchased a late Victorian house there, and he paid £350 for it. And yeah, we was very happy. The war started, the 1939-45 war, and my father sat me down and he explained to me when I was 5 that he thought that it would be safer for me to be evacuated. On the day of evacuation, we all went to school, Ripple Road Junior School, and with our cases, and we had packed in our cases what the government told our parents to put in there. 2 pairs of everything, 2 pairs of pants, 2 vests, 2 trousers, 2 shirts and all that. And we all had a label on with our name and on it, and our gas mask in a cardboard box hanging round our neck. And we got on a coach that took us to the station. I don't know why we went to the station, because we only went to Shudi camps. There's several villages with the camp's name on the Essex-Cambridgeshire borders. And now we went to Shudi camps, 7 of us. And the first night there was 10 of us in a big house. And there was a lovely lady, she was nice to us, gave us nice food and all that, nice beds. And the next morning we lined up, and different people came, ladies mainly, and selected which one of us they were going to take. And a lady called Mrs. Upshaw selected me and took me.
Hiya.
We walked from the big house down the road, and their house was like a gatehouse to a big estate through the main gates, and I think that her husband was a gamekeeper for the estate. And they had a son, Ralphie Upshaw, who was about 5 years older than me. And it all started pretty well. I wasn't frightened in any way. But then, after a few mornings, I was given I've always called it a yoke thing, to put on my shoulders, round the back of my neck there, and a bucket on each side. And I was told to walk to the dairy and get the milk. Well, 2 buckets filled with milk at my age was a bit of a struggle, but That's what I had to do. That was my first task. And then a few days later, it started then that I had to clean the boots, her husband's boots and things like that. And the school, which was just up the road, everyone was in one classroom. I hadn't been used to that. There were big kids all in one classroom. And I just found it difficult, very difficult. And then I assume it was one weekend, Mr. Upshaw had all these other men there, and they all went out in the fields and that, and they put nets over rabbit holes in the vicinity, and then they put ferrets down the holes that chased the rabbits out into the nets. Then they got the rabbit out, broke its neck and that, hung them all together, and out come my yoke again, and they hung rabbits on each side and told me to walk back to the house. Well, several times I fell over and they were all laughing. They thought it was funny, you know. And by this time, I'm getting a bit angry about it all. So I decided one morning I wasn't going to school, I was going back home to London. So I set off where I was supposed to go to school, walking. I didn't know if it was the right direction for London, but I was walking anyhow. I got a fair way away and a policeman come along on his bike and said to me, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to London." He said, "You're not, you know, you're going back up there and I'm watching you go back, you know." Anyhow, I had several more attempts, and then with all the pressure of cleaning and that, I went to bed a couple of times. Oh yeah, they didn't like that, did they?
No.
Obviously not, because I was being a nuisance then. And one day, two official looking people came. I say they were official looking because the man was dressed in his long, like, trenched coat thing, and he had his trilby hat on and his collar and tie, and the lady and that. And they told me to pack my case and that, cover up my things, and they got me in a car, and they took me to a place near Water Beach in Cambridgeshire. And it was a big mansion place with 40 children. There's 40 of us. Some were French, some were French, and the rest of us were English as far as I could make out. And it was even worse. There were certain things I didn't like to eat, so you were forced. If you didn't eat it, you didn't get nothing else. And if you went to bed, a nurse, and I remember her name, Nurse Swallow. She wasn't a swallow. She used to lay me on the bed face down, pull me trousers down on my pyjama bottoms, and thrash my backside with a rubber slipper. I used to hold onto the iron headboard, and bite the pillar, and I used to think to myself, if you think you're going to make me cry, you're never going to make me cry. But it made it worse because she only thrashed me more, didn't she? Anyhow, while all this is going on, my parents had a friend, and his name was Dan Gubb, and he was a cobbler. and he had a car. It was a Morris. I remember it was a Morris. I don't remember what number it was. They used to go in 8s and 10s, I think, you know. I don't remember the number. Anyhow, one weekend he took my parents to the place in shooting camps where I was supposed to be. And when my parents got there, they were told by missionaries up to know I'd been gone weeks. And she said she didn't know where or anything. So when my parents went back home, they went to the council, the people who was in charge of the evacuation, and it took them weeks to find out where I actually was. Anyhow, when they did find out, they turned up there one Sunday, and my mother especially was appalled at the conditions and that. And anyhow, they went home after a visit and that, and my mum kept saying to me, I can see you're not happy, but I didn't want to be a problem, you know, I didn't want to, there was enough going on without that. So, but anyhow, a couple of weeks later they come back again, and my father, I don't know how he got them or where he got them, but he had several tins of quality street sweets to distribute, you know. But lo and behold, they never got distributed. They went in the office, we never ever saw them. And they brought my bike there, my bike, you know, 'cause I love riding my bike. But then they used to punish me by not letting me ride my bike, giving it to other children and that. So I started again, you know, trying to make my way home, but I failed. Anyhow, one weekday, my mother turned up there. She said, I'm taking my son home, taking him away from here. And they said, oh, you don't want to do that, you know, get the doctor, there's nothing. My mum kept saying he's ill, he's got something wrong with him. No, he's all right, you know, there's nothing wrong with him. And my mum said, I'm taking him home now. So she did. The next day she took me to the doctors, Dr. Fenton, there's 2 doctors in Bowen, twin brothers. Both the Fentons, Will was one, Will and Ted, I'm sure his name was Ted. And Mum took me there and undressed me and that. She said, good God, the boy's suffering from malnutrition, you know, you got to gradually feed him properly, don't do it all in one go. So I was back home in time for the Blitz because I'd been away during the Phoney War. I was back home in time for the bombing and all of that, you know. And then I just carried on my childhood through the war then, and I was quite happy to be back home, you know. It was a happy family home and I was back there, so. And I think my parents felt guilty for the rest of their life, really, but they didn't. They couldn't know what it was going to be like, could they? So, yeah, that was, after that my childhood was very happy. Good. I was never a brilliant, I can't sit at a desk and learn things. It's no good, you know, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And that went all through with me in my job. If I was, first of all, I went into London docks, I was going to be a shipwright. I wasn't all that. I had to do a year's probation. And I can't imagine youngsters doing this now. Mr. Lewis was in charge of number 9. Island Wharf had numbers for all their places in the Royal Docks. 9, 10 and all that. I was in number 9, right by the dry dock in the King George Royal Dock, number 9 shop. My tally number was 1617. And I had to go in early every morning and wait in Mr. Lewis's office, and he'd come up the stairs because he had a big office. He could see the wagon fettlers and the carpenters and the blacksmiths. He could see it all from his office, you know. And I had to wait there, and he'd come up the stairs. I had to help him take his coat off, hang it on a hanger, take his hat off and give him his bowler hat. They all wore bowler hats, all in the docks. Managers and that wore a bowler hat, not a safety hat like we have now, bowler hat. They give him his bowler hat and his chill me up and all that. Then guys get his cup of tea and that. And then just sit there and write out orders for screws and all sorts of things. No, I didn't like it anyhow.
No.
So that Christmas I gave me notice, and when I said to my father, I've given me notice in now, I didn't like it. My mates are earning a lot more money than me. They're earning £3 or £4 a week, and I'm only getting £1. But he said, well, you're going to learn a trade. I'm not having you just going off anyway. So I got me to be an apprentice joiner in a joinery shop down on the A13 it was, anyhow, the old A13, Manor Joinery. So I started my apprenticeship in there, and we were the first apprentices after the war, because during the war they were all improvers, you know, didn't have apprentices. So I was apprentice there. I've always been a bit of a rebel. I'd been there about 2.5 years, and I had to register for my national service. As soon as I was 18, you had to register. You got paperwork to register. One Saturday morning, Mr. Thomas, the manager, came to me. He said, why are you always first at the clock at going home time and lunchtime and that, you know? I said, because I'm faster than anyone else. I said, but you're not noticing, Mr. Thomas, that I'm always first in the mornings, and are you? You're only looking at the bit of bed. He said, don't you be insubordinate, I won't sign the paperwork for you to get what did they call it? Anyhow, so postpone your national service, you know, to it. And it's funny because it was a Saturday that I had to go and register in the afternoon at the Labour Exchange, you know. So I thought, well, if you're not going to sign the paperwork, that's it. So I didn't ask for any postponement at all. I thought I'm going to do my national service. Dad wasn't very happy, but anyhow. So I went off and did my national service, which the first few weeks, as a matter of fact, it's exactly 73 years ago today, on Thursday the 18th of September 1952, I left home and I got a trolley bus from Barking to Ilford, got on the train Ilford station to go to Brentwood, where a lovely sergeant was waiting on the platform for us all, loaded us in army lorries and took us up to Whalley Barracks. And that's when 6 weeks of humiliation and torture commenced. And it was, because the barracks at Whalley were built by Clive of India. We still had elephant sheds there to put the elephants in. Anyhow, yeah, I got on all right in the army. We went to Germany. I didn't enjoy Germany much. Spent 5 months. I was in the anti-tank platoon in support company. We spent 5 months training on 17-pound guns. No ear defenders, nothing like that. Never heard of anything like that. Consequently, I finished up.
Oh, is this? This is
completely deaf.
Mm.
Profoundly deaf is the word, I think. And then we went back to Worley for a couple of weeks, had an embarkation leave, and then we sailed for Korea. Busan, as it was called then. It's called Busan now. Busan. Sailed for there. Whilst we were on the way, they signed a ceasefire. We all said it was because they heard that the Dagenham Light Infantry was coming and they got frightened. So the Chinese packed it in. But they didn't pack it in really, did they? It still went on. And it's still going on today. So, it didn't make any difference in a way. But I enjoyed. I'm glad I did it. And I'll just finish a little bit of story. After you've done your national service, the law was that the company you were employed with had to employ you for 22 weeks when you came out. So I went to the manager and Mr. Thomas. He was so pleased to see me. He said, I won't take you back as a joiner. I'll only take you back as a labourer. I said, no, you won't, Mr. Thomas. He said, I will. I run this company. So I went to the Labour Exchange and listened to the man there tell Mr. Thomas over the phone that he had to take me back as a joiner, whether he liked it or not. So I went back to the manager and Mr. Thomas said, I suppose I've got to take you back as a joiner. I said, I tell you what, Mr. Thomas, you can poke your job up your arse because I'm going to go somewhere else and work.